Hi, all. Thanks so much for joining Making Healthcare Work for You, Different Perspectives and Empowering Solutions. I'm Stephanie Fields, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Dr. Apoorv Gupta, and Mary Cole, who is an infection control specialist, project manager at the Highlands at Brighton. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
We are so excited to talk to you today and hear more about the culture of the Highlands at Brighton, which is a skilled nursing facility, because you are doing things that are completely different than what you typically think of or hear when you think of a skilled nursing facility. So, why don't you just tell us a little bit about how you think and what that culture is like within your facility?
So our facility is relatively unique. We have some very challenging residents in that we have our mission is to decompress our partners of people that are difficult to place. Difficult to place often means they don't have family supports or they have psych issues. They don't have transportation or can't get in their apartment buildings or all kinds of other underlying reasons. Sometimes it's as simple as waiting for a Medicaid payer source to be able to go home, and other times it's it's very difficult social or psychological issues. So we have a very unique population throughout the building. If you looked on paper, you'd be going, oh my goodness, how do they all get along? But it's like one big eclectic family. And um, those of us who've been here for a while, it kind of is a culture that sucks you in to really caring about them and wanting to be here and coming back. Whether there's a lot of people that have come just for to help out for a little while. That's my story. I started 23 years ago to help out a friend for a few days. Um, or people that have come here for their career and they just seem to um, care about the residents like their own family and care about the staff like their own family.
Mary, I find that story so remarkable because when you first told us that, I was just really blown away that you have such a culture in the first place. And sometimes it's hard to unravel how did we get here? What's the chicken or the egg? Is it just that we had a whole bunch of great people and we all just happened to luck out because we had great people and then the culture was an outgrowth of that? Or was there something, in the works that allowed you to attract those great people? So I'm always interested in unpeeling the onion there and trying to understand how do you think this great culture got created in the first place? Because it's not the norm, unfortunately, in healthcare or in long-term care facilities, hospitals mostly. Unfortunately, it's not the norm. I think a lot of organizations would love to for it to be the norm, and they're working towards it. And we, particularly through our podcast and as well as through other work that Stephanie and I do, are really trying to support that. So we'd just love to understand more of your insights as to what you think the origins were for that culture.
I think that there were some bumpy starts here. There were some obviously staffing can be bumpy. Lots of things have happened, ownership changes, different components. Um, but there was a good core group of people that have stayed and have had very supportive leadership and not it's supportive in a different way, supportive in that allowing them to be their best self, allowing them to share who they are in kind of an emotional maturity before that was a tag word, as far as being able to share pieces but not overshare, be able to allow the residents to converse with you as a human, not just as a caregiver, but for the staff not to dump their problems on the residents. So it became there were always enough people of that same mindset of to treat them like treat everyone like they're your family member that it kind of has stayed and has attracted more the leadership people that come and stay really encourage the staff to be themselves. to be human, to engage with people, to not just serve them their meal, but know that they like extra ice or that they like this coffee creamer or just those little things that make a big difference. And one act just keeps perpetuating other acts. Um, it really is um, a culture that does that. And I think some of it is some of our areas, there aren't other choices or there weren't other choices for those residents or families to go to. And sometimes that takes away, I'm going to go somewhere else, I'm going to do something else. At the time, our facility opened, I want to say 96, something like that, late 90s. We were like one of three ventilator dependent skilled nursing facilities in all of New York State. And there weren't many others nearby in nearby states. So those people that were in our vent unit, there really was no place else for them to be. Sometimes they were farther away from home than you would like to be. So you had a steady group of staff. We had a higher than average in that area licensed staff because we have respiratory therapists as well as nurses, along with the CNA staff. And those were a population that really didn't have another choice. There wasn't shopping around where to go or whatnot. A lot of them were IDD type individuals who got older, had a muscular dystrophy or CP. And then we had several like ALS type patients at that time, which was a significant portion of our unit, especially down there, where they had chosen the lifestyle and they looked to staff to make it the best life they could have. Some of those, with the ALS, if you're not really familiar with ALS, it's that 40 to 60-year-old age group. A lot of these people had very active lives, some a little on the wild side, some very busy lives. So they weren't choosing to stay alive on a vent. They wanted to continue as much of their life as they could. So there was joking, there was parties, there was, just they wanted life and the staff gave it to them. Our other super distinct areas we have, and we still have one of the very few that takes very complex behavioral patients, usually dementia with unpredictable behaviors, into a double locked unit. So these people really also were at a place, there's no place else to go for them. And the staff learned there as well to meet those patients where they were, to be able to talk to them wherever they're at. Some of them were, there is one that has been there since, I think he was patient 100 in this building. Definitely a little on the wild side, but yet very consistent. And staff have learned to create a life for him here and create life for those who come and go in that area. That's a really challenging population because at that point in dementia, it's really hard for the families because they aren't who they used to be, but they're still somebody.
So, how do you, when you're dealing with all of these different types of people, maintain that resilience and genuine interest and love for these people? Because it has to be challenging. First of all, you said it's like family, which means you're gonna know those things about those people, but it also means they're gonna get on your nerves sometimes. And then when you
Exactly.
have a situation where people are on vents and you said they had limited other options for placement and some of the double locked units, I think a lot of places, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think a lot of places that could lead to a situation of like, well, forget what you want. You don't have another option. And and maybe loss of hope for that person in that unit because they're also thinking, well, crap, I have to put up with this because there is no other option. But you somehow, both of you, both the staff and the patients, persevere to a place where there is hope and love, and I'm sure disagreements or tension sometimes, but you're able to move along in that family way. So where does that come from? Because it sounds like it can be a really challenging situation.
It can be. I mean, I think that we would all say you got to laugh, and sometimes you end up crying with people, and you just have to be human. Um, and it's really simple things. It's I can remember um, when, let's see, Prince William and Princess Kate got married. I was working at night. I had a resident who was enthralled with that. This woman never wakes up in the morning. Please wake me up when it starts. So we had coffee at 4 o'clock in the morning while I'm charting, watching TV with her. And that's all, I mean, that goes a long way. We have residents here that just love to live through people. Can you share your vacation photos? Can you share what you ate when you went out to eat? Just those simple acts create a bond. And we've had many circumstances where, I mean, traditionally it would be the provider that would be having end of life conversations or wish conversations. Not that it's totally out of the scope of an RN, but sometimes they pick who they want to be there. Sometimes it's they want the housekeeper to hold their hand. That's okay. That is okay. It doesn't matter who is the support person. It's that we can create that. And it's funny how every person working here ends up having their favorite. And somebody who would get on my nerves becomes somebody else's absolute favorite person to engage with. And I think as you show that and you role model that appropriate bonding, it just feeds that caring throughout the building. And we're small enough that staff all have their home units, but they also either know or have floated to other units, have worked there. I mean, it's an entire building feeling.
So, Mary, I still have a lot of questions that are coming up for me, and some of which you're kind of patiently helping us understand. One thought I want to go back to your answer from the previous question is that it sounds like part of the reason why you have this culture is because of the special population, because that population is so complex and because they have such special needs that's allowed your caregivers to sort of rise up to meet that standard. So if that's true, if I'm hearing that correctly, then does that imply that maybe other places that take care of such, complex patients also have the same culture? Or are you finding that despite having the same populations, they don't have the culture? So again, if you catch my drift, I'm still trying to get at the heart of where did this culture come from?
I really think that, especially when I came in, so I've been here, it'll be 24 years. There was a leadership group at that point here um, that allowed that encouraged that. There was some of the nurses were second career nurses. Some of them were just um, emotionally mature human beings in the professional role. So they really brought back those core values of caring for people and not necessarily the technology or the tasks at hand. Obviously, the tasks have to be done, but really the caring has to come before you worry about adding technology or adding different skills to that. Um, and they were here. They encouraged, they allowed, they supported staff in that, what do you need? Or what can I do for you? Um, I know when I started as I was per diem and things changed, different departments changed. I had who was eventually my DON for most of 20 years. She looked at me and goes, "What day can you come? We'll just make it work." And as a per diem person working full time somewhere else, not having to worry how to fit yourself in, but just being embraced and respected for who you are and what you could bring makes you want to give back. And that was how many, many, many people felt. And when that is your leadership, that's what is expected of your next layer down and your next layer down.
So, is the leadership support required? Is there a situation where you can see somebody else might be working at a similar facility, one of those other facilities within New York that you've mentioned, having a totally different experience with unsupportive leadership? Is there a situation that that person should still feel empowered to do something at that level that could perhaps sort of bubble up and get to that point where somebody can see, oh my gosh, this is making a difference in these people's lives? And to that point, what sort of difference do you see in your population? Do they seem happier than other people who might be living a parallel life?
I think that there's absolutely room for anyone to rise up and be that leader. A smile, a pleasant conversation. It doesn't matter if they can talk to you. It drives me crazy when they tell me that vent people can't communicate. Yeah, they can. You just have to work harder at understanding them. They can mouth words, they can gesture, they can use their eyes. They just can't make words and sounds, which, whatever. Sometimes there's too many of that. That isn't within everybody's scope to do. You walk by and you hear aides singing with people or talking to them or engaging them, or if you're stuck in a room, giving meds or doing something, you have a continuous banter with them. That makes an enormous difference. It doesn't have to be about deep philosophical things. What's it looking like? What's the weather at? Here's the students, like they just need to have the opportunity to engage and to do something. And that does help as we've gotten new leaders and they've got a feel for what kind of people, what our good people are like. That's what we all want. That's how we want to be treated. That's how they want to be treated. And it's funny because we have the same turnover problems every long term care facility does. It's not the people that are good workers that show that caring that keep turning over. It's usually people that are here for the money or here for not always the same reasons that everybody else is. Those are the people that tend to hop. The people that really care about these residents seem to come back over and over and over again.
Yeah, so it's a really something very special about the people that you've been able to attract and the people that you have been able to retain and the people that want to stay with you, really, right? That's kind of the shape that's emerging to me of this culture. You also mentioned previously the role of mentoring and role modeling, that, once you have a senior person and if they show a particular behavior, then it's easy for others to pick it up. In addition to that, again, for this culture to sustain over 24 plus years is just remarkable, regardless of how it got created. And, so is there training for management or leadership on this culture to try to get people to understand what it is? Anything more formalized than the shadowing and mentoring that you folks do?
We don't really have a super formalized education per se. It really is teaching and role modeling the expectations with the cohort of people we have. And it expands to all our departments. Even our non-clinical departments are very supportive of the staff and supportive of the residents. Um, so it's kind of embedded in the framework of the building, which is great because it's an expectation of everyone. Not a hard and fast rule, but we do have rules that of how we should treat each other. But how it feels here goes beyond that to a little bit. Like no one is no one is reprimanded or pushed in a direction to not give that extra 30 seconds of support and time with people, or to have a playful banter with them, or to engage in conversation with them. It's actually, we'd like to see more of it than we do.
Everything you've described about the organization sounds to me like what we call a loving organization. That's an organization that has purposely built a culture of love and compassion in leveraging systems and policies and workflows and such to build that culture so that it's about the people, but it supports the people and it's more than the people. And everything you've described to me feels like that's what you are, a loving organization. Now, I don't know, you may not call yourselves that, but I'd love for you to react to that a little bit. Is what do you think about that idea of a loving organization? And do you think it applies to you? And do you welcome that kind of a moniker?
I do think that we are a loving organization, however you want to define that. I think that we all give a little bit of ourselves, and people in roles that you wouldn't expect to have an impact on patients do. I mean, just today, I have somebody who long-term care resident into the horse racing and whatever. Down her most frequent contact on the staff is the finance guy and our administrator to get her check signed for her racing thing that she does, or just normal interaction. We've all I know some very special people that have gone to every patient they've taken care of's funeral, which to me is amazing. It's not something I could do. We have others who, bring in little things, whether it be soap or a pillowcase, or that happens throughout the building for people that they care about. When I was the manager on our event unit, used to take them out gambling into the bar because you know what? If I could travel 10 flights to get an x-ray, I can sit next to you in the van and at the slot machine and they have a great time. Those are just things that make this significant amount of time in our lives that we spend here more meaningful, less painful, and hopefully better for the residents.
What is the impact that such a culture actually has on outcomes, patient outcomes, staff outcomes, family outcomes? If you can talk a little bit about that.
It's a really hard environment to quantify. Um, we like to think and we like to see, we're hoping their lives are better on a daily basis, which it seems to be. Um, Certainly the fact that we have people that don't want to leave here, um, in the sense that they have choices. If they want to escalate their care or if they want hospice, they could be moved to a hospice facility. Most of our people who've become part of this family choose to finish their treatment here as much as we can do and or finish their lives here, to be able to stay in their home, because that's truly what it is, whether it's their room, whether it's with the same roommate, and to be able to have the people that they see every day be there for them through the end or through their most critical times. Because we're able to escalate the care to a certain extent. I mean, if you need a surgeon or a CAT scan or something, we can't do that here, but we can give IV antibiotics, IV fluid. Some people, by the time that becomes choices for them, they're ready to move down the path of life and they don't want to start over multiple times. So they choose to stay with family, whether it be through that treatment, through don't send me out, just do what you can here, even through terminal weans of our vent people. They choose to stay with the people that have been taking care of them, which is an honor to take care of them that long. And it really, their fellow residents become their friends that sit with them. The staff choose to go sit with them or take care of them. It's a special thing to be there for them.
What are your favorite moments from the 24 years when you think back? What are your favorite moments with patients? Is it those times when they're making those critical decisions? Is it when you're at the casino with them or you allow give them that ability to realize that they're allowed to do things that they might not have thought they were ever going to do again? What are the things that stand out in your head as like, wow, that's
Mm.
making an impact and that's such a fun or great or fulfilling thing?
There's no putting aside when you take somebody out. Took a couple on vacation for a day. We just went driving all day long. Those are certainly memorable. But I have to say, getting people to laugh and engage here, whether it's a lobby party, whether it's a Christmas party, whether it's whatever, getting them to laugh as you're taking care of them, that's super special. Um, and certainly, like we've had people that have chosen to terminally wean here, and some of them are challenging and sad. Some of them, it's amazing when you can create as close to what they'd be doing in their real life as you can here. Like we had someone who um, would have been out on a motorcycle with his buddies, chose to terminally wean himself. It was as much like what they would have been doing together if it wasn't in that circumstance. And that's important. That's how I would want to be treated.
It's empowering that you're giving them a life still because just because they're in a skilled nursing facility doesn't mean that they lose all agency over their own life. They are still humans who want to live and do these things. So, thank you so much for sharing all of these stories and sharing how you have made this part of your organization's DNA because it is something special that other people absolutely need to be able to take away and start doing themselves because you're running something fantastic there. It's very special.
Thank you.
So super. Thank you for inspiring us, Mary. Really appreciate it.
Thank you all for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.